Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to discuss the top 10 AI news stories from July 2025.
And it's quite a list. I mean, things are moving so fast in AI and IT. Just keeping up is a challenge, isn't it?
It really is. So our goal here is to cut through that noise for you.
Yeah,
We're seeing these sort of five big tensions playing out again and again.
right. You've got the tech arms race, regulation trying to catch up, the whole open source movement pushing back, AI getting militarized, and of course, the constant ethical questions.
Exactly. And understanding those underlying currents helps make sense of the daily news and maybe even see what's coming next.
Let's dive in.
Okay, first up, Google. A huge move from them. This new AI mode in Search and Gemini 2.5. How is this changing the game?
Well, it's a massive shift. Google's basically moving from just being a search engine, finding links, to becoming more of an answer and action engine.
Answer and action.
Yeah.
Okay.
With this AI mode using Gemini 2.5 Pro, they have this technique, query fan out. So you ask a complex question, and the AI, it sort of breaks it down into maybe hundreds of smaller searches, runs them all at once, and then pulls it all together into like an expert level report, fully cited in minutes.
Wow, so it's not just giving you links, it's writing the report for you.
Pretty much. And the kicker, a summer study found this AI mode only overlaps with about 54% of the top organic search results. It used to be 86%.
So Google's keeping the value internally, not sending traffic out.
That seems to be the direction. It's a potential threat to the open web, to external sites that rely on that traffic. It's a big power play.
Definitely a power play. But, speaking of content, what happens when the images these AIs are trained on are protected, like with Getty Images?
Ah, yes, the Getty Images versus Stability AI case, a really big deal. The UK High Court just handed down a verdict, and it went Getty's way.
Okay, what was the core finding?
Two main things. First, making Stable Diffusion available in the UK was ruled as secondary infringement. Second, and maybe even more significantly, reproducing Getty's watermark. That's trademark violation.
So AI companies can't just scrape images and ignore watermarks anymore.
Not in the UK, at least according to this ruling. It directly challenges that whole train anywhere, deploy everywhere model. This could mean AI companies face really expensive licensing deals now.
Sets a major precedent then.
Absolutely. A powerful one for intellectual property rights in the age of AI.
Okay, so that's a legal constraint. But AI is also being used offensively. Tell us about this cyber attack on Ahold Delhaize. Sounds pretty serious.
It is chilling, actually. This attack exposed data for 2.2 million people, and what makes it stand out is how AI was used.
How so?
They used hyper-realistic AI voice cloning for vishing. That's phishing, but over the phone, using these AI voices makes it incredibly hard to tell it's fake.
Oh, wow. So they're calling people up sounding like someone they trust.
Exactly. And then, once they got access, the malware itself was AI-powered. It was polymorphing, constantly changing its own code to avoid being detected by security systems.
Adaptive malware. That's terrifying.
It really is. It shows how cyber threats are evolving thanks to AI needing much smarter defenses.
Right. A stark reminder of the risks. But let's pivot. AI isn't just about threats, right? There's huge potential for good, like this new antibiotic discovery, Aethelredin.
Yes, this is genuinely exciting news. It comes from an AI platform called Orion. And the key thing here is Orion isn't just pattern matching, it's generative,
No.
meaning it didn't just screen existing drugs, it actually designed Aethelredin from the ground up. It created a whole new class of antibiotic called polypharmacological.
Polypharmacological.
Yeah.
What does that do?
It attacks multi-resistant bacteria using two different mechanisms at the same time, making it much harder for the bacteria to resist.
It was effective.
Highly effective in preclinical trials against some really tough superbugs. And the speed, they went from design to validation in just 18 months. Usually that takes over a decade.
18 months versus 10 years.
It-
That's incredible. A real potential game changer for medicine.
It really feels like it. Shows AI's power for genuine invention, tackling huge global health problems.
Okay, so we have these amazing capabilities emerging, but also these risks, which brings us straight to regulation. The EU AI Act was supposed to be the big answer, but it's facing criticism.
Yeah, it's hitting the real world, and while the complexities are showing, experts are raising some serious flags.
Like what?
Well, for one, some definitions are apparently quite vague, like the exemption for national security. There's worry that could become a big loophole.
Okay.
And then there's funding. The European AI Office, the body meant to enforce all this, its budget is reportedly only half of what the UK's AI Safety Institute has.
Half the budget. How could it possibly oversee everything effectively?
That's the concern. It puts a massive compliance burden on businesses, maybe stifling innovation while potentially not having the teeth to properly enforce the safety aspects. It's a tough balancing act.
Definitely sounds like it. And this tension, this difficulty in getting things right, seems to be playing out inside tech companies, too. There's a big resignation at Meta.
Yes, Dr. Anya Sharma, who co-led their responsible AI team, resigned. And she didn't go quietly.
What'd she say?
She alleged censorship, specifically that Meta suppressed a study her team did on the societal risks of large language models. She basically said ethics there is more about PR than actual guidance.
Wow. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Didn't something similar happen at Google?
Exactly. It draws immediate parallels to Timnit Gebru's exit from Google back in 2020. It highlights this persistent question about internal ethics teams.
How independent can they really be?
Right. Can you truly critique the core products and business models when you're funded by the very company you're critiquing? It's a fundamental conflict of interest issue that just won't go away.
A recurring problem. So if centralized control and internal ethics are struggling, maybe the answer is decentralization. Tell us about Agora One from Europe.
Agora One is really interesting. It's billed as Europe's first big push for a fundamentally decentralized and fully open source large language model. It's got about 70 billion parameters.
Decentralized. How does that work for an LLM?
Instead of running on massive centralized data centers, it's designed to run on a peer-to-peer network. Think like distributed computing. The idea is to cut down inference costs, make it more accessible.
And less controlled by a single entity.
Precisely. It's positioned as a sovereign alternative to the big US-based models, a move towards digital independence for Europe using open source and decentralization as the tools.
That's a bold statement, a different philosophy entirely. And speaking of bold moves and different kinds of autonomy,
Yes.
an autonomous ship just crossed the Atlantic.
Yes. The Mayflower 400 autonomous ship, also called MAS 400, successfully completed the first commercial cargo crossing of the Atlantic, docking in New York. Fully autonomous.
No humans on board at all.
Correct. It uses an AI captain system developed with IBM tech and over 50 different sensors. It handles navigation, collision avoidance, everything. We're talking level 5 autonomy.
Level 5, so full self-driving, but for a huge cargo ship.
Exactly. The potential benefits are massive lower fuel consumption, potentially lower costs, maybe even safer navigation in some ways. A huge milestone for autonomous transport and logistics.
Amazing technology. But while AI can navigate oceans, it seems it still struggles with fairness back on dry land. There's a new study on AI and hiring.
Unfortunately, yes. A joint study by Stanford and the ACLU looked at the latest generation of AI recruitment tools and found they still perpetuate gender and racial biases.
Still, even the newest ones. How?
They're finding that even if you explicitly tell the AI not to consider race or gender, it learns to use proxies, things like where someone lives, what clubs they were in at university.
Ah, so it infers the protected characteristics from other data points.
Exactly. It ends up penalizing candidates from underrepresented groups without ever explicitly being told to. It shows how easily societal biases get baked into these automated systems, even when developers try to prevent it.
A really persistent and worrying problem. Which brings us to our last story, another kind of vulnerability, not bias, but security. A big breach at EuroBank Alliance.
Yes, a major one. Data for 15 million customers exposed. But the key here isn't that the banks were hit, but how.
Okay, how did it happen?
It wasn't a direct attack on the banks themselves. The attackers got in through a third-party software provider, a company that makes CRM software used by the banks.
A supply chain attack.
Exactly. It highlights this massive, growing vulnerability in the financial sector and really everywhere. Your security is only as strong as the weakest link in your digital supply chain.
So many interconnected systems.
Yeah.
One breach can cascade.
Precisely. It's the huge challenge.
Wow. Okay, so looking back at all 10, quite a landscape.
It really is. You see these themes repeating, don't you? The push-pull between centralized power like Google and ecosystem rights like Getty, the double-edged sword of AI and cybersecurity, the Ahold attack versus the EuroBank supply chain vulnerability.
Right, and the potential versus the peril.
Yeah.
The amazing Aethelredin discovery on one hand, and the persistent bias in hiring AI or the meta-ethics issues on the other.
And then the different approaches to governing it all, the top-down EU AI Act with its struggles versus the bottom-up decentralized vision of Agora One, it's all in play.
It really underscores how crucial it is to stay engaged, to understand these dynamics. This isn't just tech news, it's shaping our future. Thinking about these trends is the first step, maybe, towards influencing that future for the better.
Well said. Constant vigilance, constant learning.
Join us tomorrow on the deep dive for the previous day's AI news. Don't forget to subscribe and hit a little bell.